Hello, this is Christina Barr. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and the weather is bad like everywhere, but I don't know how bad it is on your end. It wasn't the epic storm that everyone was kind of talking about, but there is like ice everywhere outside, and I've had some issues with my internet, so I'm just trying to see how I look on YouTube really quick because I see my bar is kind of low. So let me just peek at how I am. I mean, it could be kind of blurry. I look okay, I guess. It was a little blurry, but it's okay. It's okay. Thank you guys for joining me today. Today we're going to be talking about Sam Brinton and how he stole a black designer's clothes. In 2018, I guess she heard about the report on Fox News and then saw some of his images, and people started looking and then even tagging her like, is this your look? Is this your look? And by her Instagram, and she started posting videos of her, fashion shows. And so they appear to be her designs, and it appears to be a real thing that has happened. So we have a lot of thoughts on that. Also, President Trump did go to Ohio, and Pete Buttigieg did show up in Ohio as well. So he got grilled quite a bit. So I want to talk about that. But also Rasmussen, a pretty interesting poll, and there's pretty interesting reactions to it, about whether it's okay to be white, and also asked whether Black people can be racist. So it is definitely fascinating, and the results are definitely fascinating to go through that. And if I have time, I want to go through. Scott Adams had a reaction to Scott Adams' reaction to it, and very interesting. But might have to, I don't know, do a part 2 and talk about that a little bit tomorrow. But before we jump into it, I encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, different videos. Please check out different merch that I have on the store, like the I'm Not the Victim You're Looking For shirt. We got the Denounce White Supremacy to list of his racism back. Well, some of it anyway. Some of it, but there's a good representation there. I got my Be Better Not Bitter shirt you guys can get, and also some black tea mug. I'll have to put some more black tea stuff on there too, but you guys can get that stuff at the website. Also, I do write books, so if you are interested in my content, most of it is fiction, but I have 15 published books. If you search my name on Amazon, you'll be able to find it, all my stuff. But if you go to blacktnews.com, hit the merchandise page button, at the very top there's a banner with all my books on it. But if you go to blacktnews.com, the first thing you will see is my book, Of Course God is Blatantly Against Abortion. You can pre-order it right now for ebook, but you will be able to get it in paperback and also hardcover. So please make sure that you sign up for updates on the website to know what kind of articles and stuff are dropping, but also updates on when more info will be available for the actual like hardcover copies and stuff. So very excited for you guys to be able to read that book. Worked very hard on it. Also, if you do like what I do here at Black Tea News, you can go to blacktnews.com/donate and support. It costs to run my website. It costs to use the software that I use for different videos, etc. I had a technical emergency. I had to make a purchase yesterday. So all sorts of things come up, but if you can support, I very much appreciate it. I am not monetized on YouTube yet. We'll see if we're getting close. We're getting close to meeting those parameters, but I have no idea if they will actually approve it. So I am operating off some good graces right now. On Facebook, I don't know why they took off my like advertisement for like when my shows go on, but or just straight through the videos and playing ads. But you can give. That's the only thing that I know you can do, but you can just go to the website and give straight up that way if you want to support in that way. And if you can, I'm asking. And if you don't, I understand, but I am asking if you can. Otherwise, I think yes, for watching, for tagging, for commenting, all those things really do help. The watching really is helping. So thank you guys who watch live. Thank you guys who watch it back later. You're all very much appreciated. Before we jump into everything, or the main, actually, this meme goes right into the main story of the day. I've got a good meme to show you guys, and this one is from my go-to source, Right to Bear Memes. At least he posted it. I believe this is one of his memes regarding the Sam Brinton situation. Minute to load. Is the weather terrible where all of you guys are at? Like, it didn't snow crazy. I thought it was gonna be like a snow apocalypse this morning when I woke up, and it wasn't. And it wasn't super frozen or anything. Like, there was some ice like on the window, but it's definitely been worse. But there are other areas in my neighborhood when I went out, so slow. I guess no one put any ice down, so I was slipping and almost, it almost got me, but I'm okay. I will prevail. So take a long time. So let me finish a different way because it is taking a long time to upload. We can share it some other kind of way. In a minute, connection. Is the connection okay? It's rainy and windy where you're at, huh? A lot of ice. Just a lot of ice. Let me see if I can go to the Twitter page because I might have to just share my screen that way. Because it is taking a long time to upload. I'm surprised you guys can see me if it's taking this long to upload. Here we go. There we go. All the time for this meme. Yeah, I think it's well worth it though. If you guys recall, there was this is from January 6th. There's a person who took the podium. So they went ahead and showed this. So this is a crazy story, and it's crazy, and it's, first of all, Sam Brinton, like, I don't know what sane administration would hire dudes like him. I don't. Yeah, but here we are, and he was in the Biden administration. They were pretty mum on the whole him being accused of stealing women's luggage for a bit, and then obviously he was getting charged for it because he obviously did it, and he had to be let go. But one of his victims for who he has stolen, merchandise from is this woman here, and she is a designer. And people have gone to Instagram. She's posted quite a bit of her stuff that we found that he took. And this was back in 2018. She's a Tanzanian fashion designer based in Houston, Texas, and she lost her bag in 2018. And she was recently watching Fox News, and the luggage story popped up, and she found the images of her custom-made outfits that were in her bag. So there were some people who were like, "Oh, not the same. It's a little bit different. He's wearing it. It's the same pattern. He's just wearing it a little bit different. So that's her stuff. And there's other images I will show you. But it's really upsetting, one, that someone would steal someone's stuff. I don't know if you guys have ever had someone steal your stuff. And I don't mean like a dollar here or there, but something that was personal to you, something that had some value of yours that someone just stole. It is a terrible, horrible feeling. Some years ago, I went to a Republican event, and we had it in a Mexican town in Detroit, and I was coming from, and I was a little late, and I think I had to sing, so it's kind of rushing. And I never, ever, 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 ever leave my backpack anywhere, my laptop anywhere. I always bring it with me, even if I go like to a restaurant or something. My backpack is sitting with me. I don't leave it in the car. I especially don't leave it in the car now. And we've always been taught, like, if you're like into Detroit, do not leave things of value in any sort of visible view. You know, you hide it or something, but you don't let it be like something someone who's walking by could see. Oh, there's this interesting looking duffel bag. Maybe there's something, but like, you hide anything that could look interesting. So unfortunately, that's just the world we live in. So, but I rushed inside and had a good time. We had a good event. I come back to my car, my windows are smashed out, and my backpack is gone. I had my work laptop and I had my personal laptop in there. And they also took my duffel bag of clothes, because I had a place in Lansing, and then I would come home and go, and I also had a place, and where I lived with my sister. So I would come back on the weekends, and so I had a duffel bag of clothes. I'm like, you stole my clothes. Maybe it was Sam. Maybe Sam took my things. Maybe it was him. Yeah. They took my duffel bag of my clothes, and I had shoes and stuff in there. But they took my backpack, and it had my personal laptop that I had for some years, and it had graphic files of book covers and stuff that I did, and a lot of graphic designs and videos and stuff that I made that it didn't have backup. I'm sure tons of files that I didn't maybe have backup. Nowadays, you have like the OneDrive, and everybody uses that kind of stuff, and cloud storage. So, I mean, it was in the midst of that, so not everything was like lost forever, but there was definitely stuff that I didn't have backed up. So I was so upset. I was so upset. But in the case of this situation, I can empathize, but that's got to be terrible. This woman has had fashion shows with these garments and had them in a bag, and then they were taken from her, and she didn't know what happened to it. She described it as she thought it was a lost bag or something. Did not know that this man straight up stole them. So it's bad enough that he was stealing stuff. It's bad enough that he stole. I mean, clothes are personal anyway, but this was super personal to a creative type of person. And then it's gross, because I'm like, are you taking the clothes? Because you can go and steal clothes off the rack. I don't know if we found any stories of him going to stores and stealing clothes off the rack, but it would seem that he goes to these airports without his own luggage, with the intention of stealing luggage from other women. And so, to me, I would think it's a fetish, that he doesn't just like to wear women's clothing, but likes the idea of wearing the clothes because they've been on other women. Because why else would you just keep stealing these women's clothes? What, I don't think we've heard any stories of him like stealing a lot of stuff at department stores. Maybe he has. That doesn't negate the creepy stealing women's clothes off their bodies, out of their luggage sort of thing. I don't even want to know what he does with the underwear, if he can fit them. But just really, really disgusting. So people were questioning if this was real or if this was fake, and etc. And it seems pretty real, guys. And there's other examples. Let me see if I can get these to upload, or if I'm gonna have to share the screen. But yeah, that she started posting videos of her fashion shows. So definitely hers. Let me just go ahead and show you guys. It's taking a minute. So there's one of her outfits, and she posted from her Instagram, and there's him in it. Another thing that she designed, he's in there too. This is her page. I've never seen so many ask you if you wanted to dance. They're looking for a little. Yeah, that was her Lady in Red fashion show. I don't want to get caught with a copyright, so I'm not gonna play too much of it. But yeah, these are her designs. People are like, they're so lovely, they're so beautiful. Can you imagine taking so much time into these garments and then some weirdo creep just steals it? And even the jewelry, he took. Why does that look like that goes anyway? Why does that look like that goes? And he's worn other outfits, and I'm like, that doesn't look right. But yeah, even the jewelry here was in the bag that he took. Just the audacity of just taking this stuff and wearing this stuff. Someone tagged her and asked, "Is this your look?" And another one of her designs as well. So yeah, he took her stuff. He took her stuff. So at least here she is getting more respect, being uplifted, and people are saying, I'm so sorry this happened to you, and people are seeing her designs. So hopefully this terrible thing, it can turn into a positive, at least for her. And I really hope they throw the book at this creep. This is just things that make you go blah. Things that make you go blah. But it on top of it being a little funny, super gross, it is also very upsetting and unnerving. And you think about going to the airport, and there are times when you do lose your luggage, or there was a time, I think, when ours was just misplaced and they ended up finding and stuff. But women do lose their luggage, and it's got to make you wonder, how often does this happen? There was some luggage he took that was like super expensive, and when this story first broke, I did say, like, hey, you might have to just also think about not having super expensive sort of stuff when you go out to the airport. But I don't know, he just I wonder how much he knew about these women, like when he saw them at the airport, and when he decided to target them or take their stuff, or if he's just like all random. But again, I hope they throw the book at the screen. Anyway, let's move on. So this Rasmussen video is really interesting. Let me make sure I will pull up. So they made the case that it's very important still to have pollsters to conduct things, even though, hold on, sorry, I don't know my place. So they're making the case that it's still very important to have these pollsters to look at information. And after the 2020 elections, people were like, oh, polls are fake, don't trust polls, etc. But he makes the case that the sort of data they collect is really important. Now, I do often we'll quote Rasmussen or Pew Research. I do think it's fascinating to have polls, at least to look at different human behavior. Now, you can ask particular questions and kind of manipulate people into particular answers. Or sometimes people ask questions and it doesn't carry the right kind of context. Like Democrats will say, like, oh, 90% of Americans agree with universal background checks or something. How many people know what that is? Or if you asked about what universal if they agree with universal background checks, you could do a follow up with, would you be okay with having a federal registry, because that's the only way to enforce such a thing. People, that number is going to shrink real fast, you know. So polls are interesting, especially what you can do with them, especially with how you ask your questions. But this is getting some interesting eyes on it. So they asked, do you think it's okay to be white? So I'm gonna play this whole video because it's like 6 minutes long. But I'm gonna jump here where some of this commentary is, and you can see some of the polling.
Should be uncontroversial, and we are reporting on what Americans told us, nothing more. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? It's okay to be white. Mind-blowingly, or perhaps not, the vast majority of American adults agree, 72%, and 58% strongly agree. Only 12% disagree, and only 6% of those strongly. Now, 17% of Americans are not sure, and that's a pretty big number for a question like this, which should be a simple question to answer. To me, that is the standout number. People berated or guilted so much that they won't anonymously submit a response to an IVR call or an online survey. Now, just for those wondering, if we took out the not sures, then 86% of Americans agree with that statement, a whopping 70% strongly. But I'm going to just keep the not sures in there for all these. But just keep in mind that the agreement number here is bigger than even these numbers indicate. Men agree slightly more than women, and younger adults slightly less than older ones. But here's race, and there is a signal here. White adults are much more likely to say it's okay to be white, which I think is very telling considering how much effort has been put into convincing white Americans that it isn't okay. Only 7% of white Americans say it isn't okay to be white. Among Black and Hispanic and other race Americans, a decent majority agree, but look at those not sure numbers. A meaningful chunk of minority Americans aren't sure if it's okay to be white. 26% of Black Americans and 16% of Hispanic and other race Americans say it isn't okay to be white. Here's party. 83% of Republicans agree, and only
I'm going to go
Black
back
Americans
to that race a little bit. That this is all very wild to me. So people will write it's okay to be white, you know, and it's a retaliation, I guess, with people having so much anti-whiteness. Apologize for your whiteness, you're just, you know, automatically racist, and even if you deny being racist, that's really racist, because you can only be not racist. Well, you can't be not racist, and the way to fight racism is you have to be an anti-racist, and all kind of jargon that goes on today. And there's a lot of white Americans that feel so attacked that, you know, if they see anything that's not even woke, but maybe they can perceive it as being woke because they're so sensitive, you know, they'll just retaliate and lash out. And I'm talking about like not real violence, but maybe like online, like saying stuff. But people like, it's okay to be white. It's okay to be white. Now, what's interesting about like the whole white identity that people are trying to like push on people. People might talk about white people and have been saying it forever, but as far as like having an identity as far as white people and it being like an important part of their identity, according to Pew Research, only like 15% of white people feel like being white is essential to their identity, as opposed to like 85% of like Black people think it's very important. So there's a big difference. So like people really perceiving themselves as being white, being part of their identity, it's not really a huge thing as far as like white people. Now, I know people who are very proud to be Irish, who are very proud to be Polish and only want to date Polish girls, and people very proud of their Italian heritage, you know, in a similar way that Black people are proud to be Black. And it's not the same when people just identify as being white. But you can't help being white. So it's such a bizarre question, and it's very odd to me that there's people, I guess not odd because there is such social pressure, but it's sad that so many people would cave to social pressure. And I guess to some degree, I'm glad that there's more people than not who think it's okay to be white. across like the different, spectrums of race and etc. And even, he gets into politics, the party lines will break it down in the next slide. But I'm glad, but it is sad that there's a large amount of people who aren't sure. It's a simple question. So what would make you not sure whether it's good or bad to be white? It's something that people can't help, you know? Uh, so what's with the what's with the victim mentality? Like let's see, enlarge that a bit. So it's um I can't read how much. It's a small percentage of white you strongly disagree, but 5% somewhat disagree, and 13% of white say they're not sure, and 14% somewhat agree that it's okay to be white. So I I guess I'm glad that that 13 is still a large number, I think, for something like this to not be sure about. But I suppose I'm glad that it's not a huge amount that say that they strongly disagree. So, because you see so many white people on the internet that just vomit out their white guilt, and I find it gross. I'm like, dude, just go live your life. Like, you don't have to apologize for anything that you're not personally responsible for. You can feel empathy or whatever, but as far as feeling some responsibility for all the world's white sins, I'm like, do you want a cookie? Like, what'll make you feel better? What can I possibly do to alleviate that sort of guilt? Like, do you want my Cash App? Because I can give you my Cash App if that'll make you feel, I don't know, less guilty. we can do that. I don't know. I find so much of the guilt performative, very performative. But now Scott Adams was like, looked at those black numbers and was I don't know, he's upset, very upset. And we'll see if we have time to play his response and walk through it, because it was interesting.
Percent of Hispanic and other race Americans say it isn't okay to be white. Here's Party. 8% of Republicans agree and only 6% disagree. But look at Democrats. Democrats by a huge majority, 69%. 1% and 12% isn't. And it's 80 Biden's approval rating among Democrat voters. Let me say that again. More Democrats say it's okay to be white than say they at least somewhat approve of the job Joe Biden is doing as president. There isn't much to say about independents, except they poll closer to Democrats on this one, which is pretty atypical of their recent behavior. Now, I think this is a pretty big deal. We just proved that the vast majority of Americans, 88%, either agree with or refuse to answer whether they agree with a statement that the Southern Poverty Law Center has literally labeled hate speech. Don't you think that's a big deal? Why hasn't one single pollster asked this question?
So I would agree. I think it's a big deal that we know this information, because the world, it seems like a super crazy place, especially if you're online all the time. Unfortunately, for the, just the nature of the job I am. And if you're on TikTok or someplace like that, or the deep, dark corners of TikTok, of Twitter or something, you would see so many people. You would just maybe, I would have thought the numbers as far as like disagreeing that it's okay to be white would have been higher. I still think it's wild that so many people are unsure. And I don't know that so many people are unsure or just too afraid to say. It's probably more along the lines of they're not sure if they should admit to that, and they don't know if it's wrong or if there'll be backlash if someone finds out, if they admit that it's okay to be however you were inherently born as. So, that is wild to me, but I think it is important, worth knowing, to put some things into perspective, because if more people know that most people think that it is okay, then maybe a lot more of those not sure people who won't admit would have the courage to. So one of the reasons why I do what I do with Black Tea News, and I can get on here and I talk about these issues, is that I want other people to feel okay to speak up about these topics and these beliefs that they have, because was it 63% of Americans are too afraid to voice their real opinions? It might be higher than that, but I'm not one of those people too afraid to speak out. And I want people to speak, not just on the internet. I want you to go to your neighbors and go to your friends and get the perspective, and just realize that the world is not quite as crazy as it seems when you're online on a computer all day. And if you feel less afraid and they feel less afraid, and we take back our country like one less crazy at a time, we're going to be in better shape. But if we have the super vocal minority just yelling out all this racist propaganda, like he said, it's okay to be white, is according to the Southern Poverty Law Center, that they think that's some kind of a racial hate slur. Like, it's important to that people know that there's enough people out in the world who would disagree with that nonsense. So he's gonna move on to another question that's very interesting.
Why haven't the house pollsters at any newspaper or news networks asked this? All right, we're not stopping there. Let's take a look at a core tenet of critical race theory. You agree with this? People can be racist too. 10% of Americans, even more than it's okay to be white, agree 53% strongly. And the same 12% disagree. Only 10% are not sure here. Men and women are within spitting distance, as are the ages, though younger Americans are less likely to strongly agree. But here's race. 83% of white Americans say black people can be racist too, essentially acknowledging also that they themselves are capable of being racist. But look at black voters. 66% also agree, and only 20% disagree. Only 8% not sure, much less than the number which was in the 20s for the previous question.
So I think that's an important thing to note, because there's so many people who will tell you that black people cannot be racist, and they are so adamant about it like it's fact. I've heard Mark Lamont say it so nonchalantly, like, black people can't be racist because they don't possess the institutional power to be racist, like as if it's something that's known, that's been just said our whole lives, or not just our whole lives, our whole existence, that's just a thing that's always been like, you need to possess the institutional power in order to be racist. There was a TikTok live, I watched it for a hot second, then I moved on, but not before I screenshot it and just started talking about, like, oh, these TikTok lives. But they said that that black people can't be racist, and I think it's so absurd that people will say that, because I know that black people know other black people. I can't say all. I know all black people know other black people who are racist, but I just find it hard to believe that you don't know somebody who is black who is hateful. Like, you could probably think about someone from basically any race. You know a lot of people who, especially if you're close to people, there's somebody you got to know, somebody you went to school with, relative. There's got to be somebody else. It's like the Me Too movement, when they're like, believe all women. I'm like, but women lie. So someone is lying. You can't believe everyone. So someone is lying. Women lie. So why would you say believe them all? It was just a phrase that didn't make any sense. Like, in real world application, somebody who's racist. You do. But if you're going to say, well, that person, they could be really hateful, and they could have prejudice towards a person, and particularly because of their race or et cetera. I'm like, so they're prejudiced, and it's because of the race, and we're not going to go that extra distance and call them racist. Like, no, you can't call them racist because they don't have possess the institutional, power to be racist. How much institutional power do you need in order to be racist? Like, if you're living in a city with like a black mayor, black city council, and black treasurer, all those like majority black people who voted those people in power, like, is that enough institutional power? Like, does it have to be like an African nation? Is that enough institutional power? What about like the black president? Like, could Obama be racist? Could Colin Powell be racist? How much power do you need before you start getting to the level where we can acknowledge your agency in the situation? How powerful do you need to be before we say, you know what? Yes, you are a racist. How much power do you need? How much power do you need? And is it like just black people say that people of color can't be racist? And I know people, somebody from another race who you suspected. I mean, black people talk about Asians, and Asians talk about black people, and Hispanics talk about, like, they're all across the field and feel all kinds of different ways. I grew up in an inner city school. Like, I know people say racist things. And I know other people know that. So it just boggles my mind that people want to pretend otherwise for the sake of social justice. So only white people can be racist, and only white people can possess the institutional power to be racist. Is there just never going to be a point when people of color can possess that sort of agency for you to acknowledge that they're racist? If that's the case, that seems kind of racist all in itself. But that's the route that people want to go. So I find this very interesting. That so many people still believe that black people can be racist too. So I'm definitely gonna say this on TikTok and put that out there, that it's a fringe opinion, and most people can acknowledge that black people can be racist, just like everybody can be racist, because we're human. But putting in some kind of caveat just to say that people of color can't be racist, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Like, I know people who have just been absolutely terrible, said terrible, hateful things because they don't like white people. And to just think that can't be racism. You can call it whatever you want, but it is what it is. So for people who don't believe that, you're in the minority. You're in the minority. You have a fringe opinion. So I'm glad to know it's fringe, because these people really, really, really do push the envelope. Moving on. So Trump did go to East Palestine, Ohio, and there's so much I don't know, the narrative around it with some folks on the right. Like, I saw Jack Posobiec saying, Posobiec, I think it's Posobiec, mentioned that, oh, Trump just won the primary. We know Trump just won the primary. I'm like, it's kind of early to say that just because he went there. But it is obviously important to these people that someone went. And I wonder if it's important that someone showed up, or is it just important to them because they supported Trump and he showed up? So people are very upset because Biden didn't go there, but Biden Ukraine, so I wonder, though, if Biden had showed up, would people been like, oh, I mean, I'm sure people would have appreciated to some degree, but the same sort of like affection that people had for like Trump being there, is it even possible that they could have showed that same kind of excitement, and, well, maybe not the same kind of excitement, but reverence and appreciation for President Biden being there? I don't know if that's the case, but we can watch a little bit of Trump being there. He went to a McDonald's, and the people were just very excited.
Your meal, and we're going to get the meals for the fire department. Okay? Hello, everybody. What's your specialty today?
How are you today? Nice to meet you.
Hello, everybody. That's a nice, beautiful looking group of people. So I know this menu better than you do. Okay? I probably know it better than anybody in here. We're going to.
Trump probably usually does speak hyperbole, but he does order a lot of fast food. Do you guys remember when he had a sports team or whatever that came to the White House, and it was just like all food. I think it was like a bunch of Big Macs and other stuff like that, which I don't know, if you're a teenager or I don't know, a kid or something, maybe that would have excited you, but like I don't know, if I went to the White House, I wanted something nice, which by the way, I have gone to the White House and they do have good food at the White House. The first time I went was okay. The second time it was really good. It was gosh, the lamb was really good. I went at least twice for they had African American like a Black History Month event thing at the White House. So I have gone for that. But yeah, this he's always like a fast food person. And his reasoning is that they have to abide by like certain standards with their stuff. And I guess he doesn't, if he goes, I guess he just wants some kind of consistency or whatever. So yeah, he probably does legitimately know that menu better than people.
Take care of the fire department.
Okay.
We're going to take care of the police department. And what we do is all the people that are right
I'm
now.
the owner, Mr. President. How are you?
I don't have to give him.
That's right.
That's a good one to own, right?
Yes, it is. One of the best.
So we're going to take care of your fire police. We'll take care of that. Plus the people that are in here, they're going to get a nice free meal. All right? Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Nice. Good one, huh?
Yes, it is very my first store.
Oh, really? How many do you
I
have?
have 8 stores.
Whoa. He's a wealthy guy, huh?
He's a wonderful boss.
Thank
So
you.
we'll take care of everything. We appreciate it. Knock it out fast for us. Okay? Have a good.
So I think they start asking him questions here.
They were leaving with us because when. Huh?
Why are you visiting today?
Well, we brought a lot of people with us, and more importantly, we brought the federal government with us because when they heard I was coming, they all came. They weren't going to come. They were to leave you abandoned. The owner over here, he saw that.
I helped out all the responders and everything the first week. Making me come up Saturday morning.
You did a good
with
job.
these guys.
He did a good job. So, Ray of take care of the people, and I'll see you later. Okay? Thank you all.
Can I get a picture with you?
What do you think about what's going on in East
Get a picture,
Palestine?
please.
Sir, what do you think about what's going on there in East Palestine?
President Trump, what do you think about Biden going to Ukraine before coming here?
Well, I think he should have come here.
Stevie, come
I
here.
think he should have
Come
been
here.
here.
President Trump, do you think the water's safe to have
It will be safe. It will be safe soon because FEMA was, and it will be safe.
My mom loves you.
So people that Trump acknowledged and he talked to, they had him on Tucker, and he was like that. He was like, just that he acknowledged me was so important. And you know, folks really, really do love him. Now he did, you know, win Ohio. And so folks in Ohio do really love, you know, do really, really love Trump. So I do think, gosh, the Biden administration really should have been on this earlier. Mayor Pete did get called out for not responding quicker himself. Not even like, it still took like more than a week for him to even respond through Twitter. And when I first reported on this, I told you guys, like, I can't find anything from Pete about this, but he was talking about other stuff. He was talking about equity, you know, and other departments that, you know, or within, you know, transportation, et cetera, stuff like that. But as far as the damage done in Ohio, no, not a peep. And I didn't see anything on their website for the department that he's in. And I just thought it was really weird how mum it was. And and then like a week later it became like a bigger national story. Now you're hearing like about trains falling over all the time, but apparently that happens just more than we thought, which is unnerving. But I don't, if you're like, there's a big conspiracy, I don't know if that's the case, but yeah, apparently train derailments happen more often than we'd like to know about. But I don't think if Biden had gone that he people would have had the same sort of because the people of Ohio like Trump, and not, there's got to be Biden voters in Ohio, but they don't have the same sort of love. But I do think he should have gone, or at least had people that represent him there faster. As far as Trump being there, and there, I have seen a lot of like he's winning, but even left him as a reaction to Trump going, and was very interesting to me. I do think it's important for people to know, voters to know that you care. And people are pointing out that Trump is there, not Ron DeSantis. I'm like, it's nice to go and to support people in crisis, but what do they expect Ron to do? And what did they expect Trump to do? Like the ex-Trump, like, what are you doing here? And and his response was, well, I brought, because I'm here, that that FEMA's here, and because I'm here, you got Pete coming in, So his answer is, I'm playing 3D chess, essentially. So I'm not saying he was going there for like a media moment only or something. My power just kind of flicked a little bit. So I'm not saying he was going there for just to snap a photo or something. I think he genuinely does care about the people on the ground, and people, at least, even if you don't believe that, people do feel that way. And I think it is important for people to know that you care. And once Biden, a big thing about Afghanistan with Biden, besides the pulling out and how messy and ridiculous it was and dangerous and the repercussions of it, people started to see that veil that he had of him being just nice Grandpa Joe just kind of peeled back, and seeing that wasn't accurate. Like people talking about how he did, like looking at his watch as the bodies of the soldiers were coming in, or the families talking to Biden, and how he didn't seem too invested into their children who had passed, but he kept relating it to his son who passed away, which people do that, but it didn't come off great to folks. And when he was pressed about stuff, he'd get very angry. So people started to see that he wasn't kind of the nice sort of Grandpa Joe, on top of seeing that he wasn't the package of competence that he had originally sold. So his poll numbers, they're better than they were or have been now, but that's when they started to really take a dive after Afghanistan. So I do think if Biden had just popped in and been like, we're gonna fix this situation, that would have been better for him. But I don't know that, but he probably still feels that it's unnecessary, and that's why he didn't go, just to be frank. I'm going to play a bit of Pete's reaction as well when people asked him about, why didn't you even at least tweet something until like a week and a half later.
The answer to your question is yes. I felt strongly about this and could have expressed that sooner. Again, I was taking pains to respect the role that I have and the role that I don't have, but that should not have stopped me from weighing in about how I felt about what was happening to this community.
Yeah, so he I definitely thought it was weird that he didn't tweet or say anything about it. And like I said, they didn't even put out any really statements on it on the Department of Transportation. So he was definitely slow to react, but there were other things that he was talking about and other events that he was going to and really pushing different things about equity. But what's the mum on this as people were, told to evacuate within like a particular radius because they had to do the controlled burn, and then people concerned about the chemicals in the water and it not getting enough attention from the government and from the media as well. So there's a bunch of weird things about the story, but I'm glad FEMA's there. I'm glad they're on the ground, and I think it's important that they go and they do the work, and I really hope that they help these people. But the reaction for the right having like Trump going there is really the primary. I don't see that. I don't see that, but I obviously there is still a lot of love for Trump in Trump country, So I'm not surprised that people were excited to see him and appreciated seeing him, but I think there's a bit of an overreaction to some commentators, Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. That's the show for Scott Adams poll. But like I said, the weather, I don't know how bad it is right now, but usually power doesn't go out around me, and I am seeing the lights kind of flicker. So I'm going to let you go before we have a moment. Thank you guys for watching. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, different videos, etc. Thank you guys for commenting, watching live, people who are watching it back, people who are even in the comments trolling a little bit. But I appreciate it all. Thank you guys for going to the website, look at different merch that we got on the store, like I'm Not the Victim You're Looking For. I do have different books that you guys can check out, like Slay Your Fear, How to Overcome a Spirit of Fear, which I wrote during the pandemic, and I really wish to God people had read it and paid attention. But people like their fear porn, but you guys can check out that book. And I also have, of course, God is Blatantly Against Abortion. You guys can check out and pre-order on Kindle and on Nook right now. It will be available in paperback and hardcover. So make sure that you guys sign up for updates. Thank you guys for being with me, and I will see you tomorrow.